Hello everybody, welcome back to Altcoin Buzz Trading. My name is Randy. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin, what it may have in store this week, as well as Tron, which looks like it's getting a little more bullish while the rest of the market looks like it's just hanging around, not doing much. Let's get to the charts. The charts here show BTC moving lower over the weekend into this morning, but a little bit of kind of hidden buying pressure under here. Could be underpinning a market that looks weak but may not be so weak, at least yet. Bitcoin is still within my price rectangle here on the daily time frame, and until it gets under that price triangle, we do have the definite possibility of us moving up. So for the time being, we're looking at lower chop, and if we do start to live kind of near this $25,000 level, we really will run the risk of breaking down lower. That being said, by not moving higher through this descending trend line does make the odds of an upward move generally lower. So we're going to have to do something in the next week to kind of counteract one of those two things, because if one doesn't happen, if we don't go above this line or go below this line, well, let's start with the first one. If we don't go above this line, we start living lower, we will start looking at breaking this ultimate low at about the 24,750 level. If we move lower and can't break that level, then this declining trend line will come back into play, and we'll try to move through it, going back up to the top of the range here towards a little bit above the $31,000, $32,000 level. So that's what's at play this week. The problem here is that our volume signatures are getting lower and lower. You can see here, if I move out, we have these big spikes, and they just get smaller as time goes on. So what you're looking for in this situation is a continuation. Let's say we move lower first because we are closer to the bottom. Let's be realistic here. Because we're closer to the bottom, let's say we get a break and our volume expands dramatically. That's very likely meaning that we're going to continue this move lower all the way down, maybe to the ultimate lows here of the 15,591, give or take. I think we're a little bit underneath of that. But the fact of the matter is, we still do have some work to do before we do break those lows. So my personal opinion, and this goes beyond the week, is that we chop a little bit and then we try to curl back up. The reason we try to curl back up is because there just doesn't appear to be enough selling pressure around the market to actually be able to push us lower. At the same time, though, there's not enough buying pressure to lift us either. So at some point, one of those is going to win out. The question is which one. But this week specifically, we're probably in for choppy downtrend is really what it looks like based on what I just told you on the description of the price and the action that is happening. So we supported the low here back on the 11th. And we had another high on the 19th, and then 25th, we're right back into the middle. So chop really is what's going to happen probably this week, barring a large volume event, either up or down. All right, next up is Tron, which really has been surprising us with its ability to hold up in this very large structure. So we placed a high back here on June 3rd, and the level that I'm looking for to, potentially for a breakout is this 8.5 cent level. This has been resistance a number of times already, but one thing making this a little bit different is the fact that we are able to hold and stay fairly tight up against that level. We haven't breached it. That means that as they've been buying it going up, they don't want to pay too much for it, so they let it stall out, but they support it as it goes down. And that's generally what you're looking at here. But not all is, hunky-dory. Not all is guaranteed, especially in the markets with Bitcoin looking like it is. If Bitcoin were to roll over dramatically towards the lows, Tron would likely follow suit. Now, if Tron doesn't follow suit, and I'm going to use a word now that you may or may not have heard called a leader. There are altcoin leaders in the market, coins that kind of do their own thing a little bit, and in some instances can kind of not negate a Bitcoin move, but as the powers that be try to move everything lower, they may not be able to move Tron lower. They may have to lift it higher, and in which case, if they want to buy Tron, they'll probably also want to buy other things. Usually, coins like this don't move in a vacuum. They tend to move with everything else, and so my whole general point is essentially that if Tron starts to go up and Bitcoin is stagnant or looking sluggish, forget what it's looking like. What is it doing? If it's not moving very much and Tron is popping off, then very likely it's a solid move in Tron. So keep that in mind as this week goes on. And it's a good play for this week because this has been going on for a little while. But if it falls off this week, especially under this 8.28 cent level, if we start falling off, then it's just a retest of highs and a failure to move higher. But so far it's looking pretty good. I don't usually give Tron the nod, but this week it's looking not bad. All right, guys, that's really all I've got for you. Most everything else is pretty choppy. A couple things are continuing, some moves and some stability of the past couple of weeks. Unable to move lower on many things leads me to believe that, we'll at least give the highs another shot generally. So we'll see how that goes. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me. I'll see you next Monday. Have a good week on Altcoin Buzz Trading.